Coming up, COVID concerns and computer complications, an update from the Great Falls School District. Plus, Republicans rally in Gallatin County and the Vice President is there to lead the cheers. MTN's exclusive interview with Mike Pence.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Thanks for making MTN a part of your night. I'm Tim McGonigal. Keely Van Mittendorp is off tonight. First at 10, work continues tonight to get Great Falls Public Schools network back up and running after it was attacked and taken down. As MTN's Coulter Anstad explains, the update was part of a news conference today to address the latest COVID-19 cases in the district.
Here at Great Falls Public Schools Central Office Monday afternoon, school district officials held a news conference to address the latest COVID-19 cases and the recent network outage caused by a ransomware attack. As we've reported, the district announced Sunday evening Great Falls High would be closed Monday and Tuesday because of 2 new COVID-19 cases identified over the weekend, but the school would reopen on Wednesday. At the news conference Monday afternoon, Superintendent Tom Moore said this stop-and-go approach is what the district will use so long as COVID-19 is in the community and there is no vaccine. He said there is no number of cases he can give that would cause the district to completely shut down and go to 100% remote learning. Whether a school will shut down, though, is dependent on how many cases there are at that school, the number of people in quarantine or isolation, and the school's population.
At some point, we may have to make some tougher decisions about the entire district, and we'll do that with a task force or a team of people that includes our school board and other health officials in the community and our administrative team.
As for the ransomware attack, the investigation was still very much ongoing Monday. Moore estimated between 20 and 40% of the district's network was back up and running Monday afternoon. The district's IT director said the 2 priorities as of Monday were getting the district's financial database and email working again.
One of the things that's hampering us right now is our email system is still down, and we're working to try to get that because that's impacting our communication that we have.
There was no timeline Monday for when the network will be fully back up and running. In Great Falls, Coulter Anstad, MTN News.
Moore said it's unclear how much all of the work to get the network back up and running is going to cost the district. Well, at the Legislature Education Interim Committee earlier today, the Montana Digital Academy reported a significant increase in students and schools requiring their services. Created in 2010, the Digital Academy is state-funded and provides digital classes to help students avoid schedule conflicts and provide more options to rural and homeschooled students. Director Bob Curry reported they saw an enrollment of just over 3,200 students this year, a 33% increase over the previous year. Curry told the committee they've seen a steady increase in students in recent years. COVID just further showed how the program is able to fill the needs of schools and students.
For many students and parents, they will see the benefits that they haven't seen perhaps in the past. And I don't think that there is really a turning back in the need for increased online learning opportunities for Montana students.
Vice President Mike Pence made a campaign stop in Belgrade to rally support for Montana's GOP candidates. MTN's Gabby Crevitt was the only reporter to get a one-on-one interview with the vice president, and she brings us their conversation.
But I'm here because Montana and America need 4 more years of President Donald Trump.
Vice President Mike Pence made a stop in Montana today to rally on behalf of President Trump and show his strong support for Senator Steve Daines running for re-election, Congressman Greg Gianforte running for governor, and State Auditor Matt Rosendale, who's running for Montana's U.S. House seat. In an exclusive interview with MTN News, the vice president said,
right after getting this president reelected, we need 6 more years of Senator Steve Daines in the United States Senate. And we need a strong conservative voice in the governor's office and in the Congress for Montana.
The vice president told the hundreds of people attending the event on Monday that it's all about continuing the president's agenda.
We rebuild our military. We revive the economy by cutting taxes, fighting for free and fair trade, unleashing American energy, and rolling back red tape at a record level.
The vice president highlighted the administration's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, a topic that continues to be controversial from people across the political spectrum. Another topic touched on by the vice president, wildfires raging across the western United States, and made specific note of the Bridger Foothills fire that started over Labor Day weekend in the Bozeman area.
We're encouraged that while the 28 homes were burned to the ground, that thanks to our first responders and quick action, there's been no loss of life. But we'll not rest, will not relent until we make sure that Montana, Oregon, California have everything they need to see our way through this extraordinary wildfire season and then rebuild.
Reporting in Belgrade, Gabby Crevitt, MTN News.
Now, we also reached out to Governor Bullock for a response to the Vice President's visit to Montana. He said he welcomed the Vice President to the Treasure State, and in a statement added, quote, "Throughout this pandemic, I've worked closely with the Vice President to advocate for Montana when it comes to PPE, testing materials, and the resources we need." You can read the governor's full statement on our website. Also on the campaign trail, they may be from different parties, but the candidates for Montana Secretary of State this year are both talking about the need for election security. As MTN's Dennis Bragg reports, the real difference is over what to do about it.
To hear Bryce Bennett and Christy Jacobson tell it, the integrity of Montana's election system is at stake. The question is where the attacks come from. Bennett maintains Jacobson and her current boss, Corey Stapleton, haven't deployed proper checks and balances. She counters with her support for voter ID for poll voters, accusing Bennett of not backing a tighter, controlled system.
My opponent has been caught asleep at the wheel when it comes to the security of our elections. You will not have to drag me kicking and screaming to use the National Guard cybersecurity unit or bring in experts from the private sector to make sure that no hacker can get into our election infrastructure. We want to make sure that we've got people that have the experience of going toe-to-toe with the people who are trying to sneak into our system and undermine people's integrity in our elections.
My opponent wants to automate online voter registration. That's something I continue to oppose, and that it would prevent any type of fraud to seep in and again change our state from turning into California or Colorado.
The two candidates differ on more than the election process. There's also the question of business registration and licensing. The pair paint a very different picture of how the office is being run.
When we first took office, they were on hold for up to 2 hours. Now we answer the phone within 30 seconds or less. We offer our businesses to register 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we've modernized our business registry. We've been the first in the country to do that, and I'm very proud of the work our office has done in the last 3.5 years.
That's just not the reality that I'm hearing from business owners from across the state. You know, when she talks about downsizing, what I've heard from them is that they've gutted the office. They've made it harder for folks to get their questions answered, and it's harder for Montana businesses to get registered or continue on and keep growing in this tough economy.
While Bennett accuses Jacobson of running an office plagued by corruption and incompetence, Jacobson continues to attack Bennett's record in the legislature as being anti-American, a lot for voters to sort through in a few weeks. Dennis Bragg, MTN News.
Well, the U.S. Census is counting people in Montana's prisons and jails, but some Native American activists on Monday said the state corrections department is not giving the census accurate information on Native Americans who are incarcerated. The activists appeared today before a state legislative panel and also held public events around the Helena area to make their case. Native American activist Lori Littledog of Bozeman says the corrections department count does not include accurate numbers on whether inmates are Native American or the inmate's tribal identification. She says that's important information for Indian tribes in Montana and could affect the distribution of financial and other resources. The Corrections Department says it's working with the Census Bureau and has determined tribal affiliation for most of the 60 inmates the DOC has listed as Native American. But Littledog says the number of Native Americans in the prison system is much higher and that the department should allow them to communicate their status directly to the census.
They need to give paper forms to every incarcerated person across the state of Montana and turn those paper forms directly into the processing center. The Department of Corrections doesn't get to pick and choose who they think is Native enough to identify. The people get to do that, and that's a relationship between the individual and the United States Census Bureau.
The state also said it's not responsible for data collected on inmates in non-state-run prisons in Montana and urged the census to contact them about inmates' tribal affiliation. From the courts, bail has been set at $100,000 for a Colorado man and former Carroll College student accused of raping 2 women, possessing child pornography, and filming more than a dozen women in the bathroom without their knowledge. 22-year-old Connor Andrew Jones faces 20 total charges, including sexual abuse of children. According to Helena Police, the investigation started back in February. And when a Carroll College faculty member discovered what appeared to be a hidden camera recordings of people in the bathroom. After identifying and interviewing victims, detectives executed a search warrant on the suspect's apartment and found recordings and images of suspected sex crimes, again including child pornography and rape. Carroll College has confirmed that current and former Carroll students were among the victims of the alleged crimes. Well, the smoke has caused more than just poor air quality in the Treasure State today. Our meteorologist Grant Garland is here to tell us more. Grant?
That's right, Tim. We have been looking at 83-degree temperatures here in the Electric City. Now, we did have a cold front that moved down south, and that's why we're seeing these almost 30-degree temperature differences. But we were expected to get up to 90 degrees today in the Electric City, and because of the smoke, well, the sun's rays was not able to get down to the surface, so we were able to see cooler temperatures than what we were expecting. As far as the air quality is concerned, right now we are expecting looking at unhealthy conditions for Lewistown, Helena, and Missoula, and unhealthy for sensitive groups out towards Malta. So any respiratory problems, that could be a big concern. And we're seeing moderate conditions in Great Falls as well as Butte. Temperatures right now, 54 degrees in Great Falls, 62 in Helena, and 51 in Havre. And our winds are calm for the time being, not allowing for that smoke to really move. We've been looking at mostly cloudy skies as we've looked at the past 3 hours. Now, the thing here is that cooler temperatures are on their way, and we're going to talk about all that and more in a few minutes. But for now, back to you.
Thanks, Grant. Well, are home equity loans a good idea during a pandemic? We ask a financial expert to weigh in when the news continues.
Welcome. From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Welcome back. Financial experts say home equity loans are at an all-time low. However, in tonight's Rebound Report, MTN's Maren Sue says that doesn't mean that you should spend extra money right now on your home.
Being at home during the coronavirus pandemic, you might start noticing chips on your counter or on your floor, but is now really the right time to renovate?
Our economy is about ready to take off and can be very strong, but at the very same time, I could see it going the other way.
Don Bennett, president of Freedom Bank, says despite the uncertainty in the market, home equity loans are at a record low, saying some are as low as 3%. He has tips for those who want to take advantage of that.
Somebody is looking to improve their home. Now probably would be a good time to get a home equity loan. And depending upon the amount of the loan and what their existing interest rate is on their current home, it might make sense just to refinance.
Bennett says while many people are foregoing vacations and saving on money, they may be tempted to renovate their homes. However, he says with the volatility of the economy, he advises against that.
Kind of hunker down a little bit, save a little bit extra. I'd put a few more groceries, in the freezer.
He also recommends this is a great time to pay off as much credit card debt as possible. And he says renovating supplies are limited.
There is so much demand for housing that the lumber stores don't have any lumber. They don't have OSB board or plywood.
Bennett says while it's important to spend your money to stimulate the local economy, it's also really important not to overspend and to stretch your money. He says you never know when the economy might go down again. In Kalispell, Maren Sue, MTN News.
Well, this week on Montana Cares, we introduce you to the owners of the Upper Missouri River Guides, a canoe touring company based in Fort Benton. Upper Missouri River Guides was founded in 1992 and purchased by owners Brett and Haley 4 years ago. They rely heavily on out-of-state visitors for their business, but the mandatory 2-week quarantine earlier in the year was hurting business. Despite that, they say the reason they decided to apply for CARES Act funding was their tour guides.
Not only were we looking at possibly not hiring people, but also not getting the investment in our business that we knew we were going to get with the training and all of that. And so thankfully, we were able to just keep the schedule and even add more people.
Now, the owners say that their 2020 season might be over, but they're already looking forward to getting people back on the river in 2021. If you missed any of the previous episodes of Montana Cares, you can find them by going to our website and searching for Montana Cares. A Great Falls nonprofit is getting ready to kick off its biggest fundraiser in a new way. Because of coronavirus, the United Way of Cascade County has put together an online toolkit to help businesses wanting to give. The toolkit will help businesses reach employees who are working remotely. Now, traditionally, employees would fill out paperwork in their office if their business was participating and they wanted to help their employer raise money. The goal this year is to beat last year's record-setting fundraising amount of $1.1 million.
What we really want to focus on this year is the fact that, even though it's going to be harder to reach people in this environment, the need is just so much greater.
The campaign officially kicks off September 23rd. You can find out how to participate by clicking on the link on this story on our website.
Well, temperatures tonight are going to be dropping down to the 40s and 50s. Don't go away. Your 7-day forecast is coming up next.
Storm Tracker weather starts now with Grant Garland.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you have had a splendid Monday evening, ready to tackle on Tuesday. Our temperatures vary depending on where you're at, especially for those in Cut Bank, 58 degrees, and then down towards the Electric City, 83. We not only had a cold front move in, and that's why we saw those drastic temperatures between really those along the High Line and us here in central Montana, but also we had to deal with that smoke that also kind of kept us, it kept us from reaching those higher temperatures. We were expecting 90-degree temperatures today in Great Falls. Due to that smoke, though, in the air, the sun's rays weren't able to penetrate that and hit the surface, so we're looking at 83 today, 71 in Helena, 88 in Lewistown, and 92 out towards Jordan, so not so much smoke out towards Jordan. The average for this time of year is right around 71 degrees. The record was set back in 1948 when it was 92 degrees. Also the year that, well, it would cost about 60 cents for a movie ticket there. Temperatures right now, 54 degrees, kind of a little bit chilly outside. I had to turn the heat on in the car. 50 degrees in Cut Bank, 59 in Lewistown, 59 in Jordan. Now down towards Billings, still looking at the low 70s, around 72 degrees. Now, even though we aren't looking at windy conditions right now, we did see them earlier today. 28-mile-per-hour winds gusting in Great Falls, 33 in Lewistown, and 28 in Jordan. Due to the smoke, we're seeing 6 miles visibility here in Lewistown, out towards Missoula 3, in Spokane 1 mile visibility, still seeing 5 in Helena. Overall, this is all thanks to those smokes that have been moving in from the west. We're seeing medium conditions right now and heavier conditions up towards Kalispell as well as Cut Bank. And this is the reason why our air quality is so bad too. We're looking at moderate conditions right now in Great Falls and just pure out unhealthy for Missoula, Helena, as well as Lewistown, seeing unhealthy conditions for sensitive groups up towards Malta. And we are looking at this air quality warning in effect until tomorrow morning at 8:45. Could that be extended? Well, sure. Jason will have the next word on that as we go throughout the morning. We are expecting the haze to continue to stick around for us for the next 3 days. So we're going to have to just deal with that for the time being. Limit yourself outside if possible. For the last 3 hours, we've been looking at clouds that have been making their way out towards Glasgow, mostly cloudy skies. And tomorrow, we are seeing an elevated risk for fire weather, mainly down southwest in Butte as well as Bozeman, and just clipping Helena. As far as the driest part of the day tomorrow, we are looking at that being right around 1 o'clock, 10% for us here in Great Falls. We're looking at 10% too in Helena, right around the 3 o'clock mark, 10% there. So really, really dry. And we're looking at possibly 25-mile-per-hour winds gusting any given time before everything kind of starts to die out later on tomorrow night. The reason why we're seeing this is because of the cold front that's been making its way to our area, and it's going to continue to do so. It's going to really kind of oscillate back and forth, bringing with it some windy conditions at times. Not really looking at a big change in temperatures either, except until on Wednesday we will see some relief from us, looking at 75 degrees on Wednesday, warming up to 79 on Friday, and 71 on Saturday. As far as tonight's concerned, 48 degrees in Lewistown, 50 in Great Falls, and 47 in Jordan. Over the next 7 days, we will be looking at, well, hazy conditions until showers and thunderstorms build back in on Saturday. And that's the same situation for our friends in Helena too. Hazy conditions for the next 3 days, showers and thunderstorms on Saturday. Tim?
High school football is in full swing. Coming up, we'll check out the week's top plays in MTN's Game Changers.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 10 o'clock news.
3 weeks of high school football are in the books with plenty of season left before crowning state champions in November. MTN's Tom Wiley counts down the top plays from the last 7 days in our MTN Game Changers.
Class AA joined the rest of Montana on the high school gridiron over the weekend, and the guys in the bigger schools didn't waste any time putting forth some incredible performances. We're going to waste little time with a quick Cece update. She's learned how to go down big girl slides by herself, but she has to say wee or it doesn't count. At number 5, Lewistown and Big Fork in an interclass matchup. Seth Norsleen heaves it up. Luke Clinton comes down with an incredible catch, and the Golden Eagles would win this one in overtime, 22-14. At number 4, Belgrade at CMR. Rustler defensive line was in the backfield all day. How about 6 sacks on the night, including 2 each from Andrew Altschwager and Derek Rothwell. CMR shuts out Belgrade 27-0. At number 3, Havre hosting Laurel. All locomotives in this one. Eli Aby airs it out to Jack Waddell, who slips a tackle, and he is off to the races. Laurel churns out big play yards on the way to a 42-0 shutout. Butte at Helena High here. Caden Hewitt quick slant to Chase McGurran. He bounces off the defense, and there is no one in between him and the end zone. 70 yards to the house. Helena wins its opener 14-9. And at number 1, holy cow, Levi Torgerson had a day for Great Falls High against Bozeman Gallatin. How about 4 touchdowns, including the first touch of the game, a 95-yard kickoff return with some nifty moves, and the Bison spoil Gallatin's debut 48-14. Of course, you can find full coverage from the weekend at montanasports.com. And as always, if we missed anything that you think we should see on Game Changers, just send an email to sports@krtv.com. Reporting from home, Tom Wiley, MTN Sports.
And don't go away. We'll be right back.
50 degrees in both Helena and Great Falls, warming up to around 82 degrees in both Lewistown and the Electric City, 77 in Glasgow. Overall, over the next 7 days, we will see hazy conditions at least for the first half before clouds build in on Friday, with showers and thunderstorms likely on Saturday. And really the same situation for Helena too. Hazy conditions for the next 3 days. Clouds build in on Friday, showers and thunderstorms possible on Saturday as well as on Sunday.
All right, and hopefully it won't be too long before we can breathe easier again.
I'm telling you, I'm ready for it.
All right, that's all the time we have. Have a great night.